Sierra Leone. Yesterday, he had a press conference where he accused the Ministry of Basic and Senior Education, Senior Secondary Education, for fraudulently recruiting the in-law of the minister, Dr. David Moina Senge. Joseph SANOH, first off, just quickly give us an establishment or a brief overview of that particular allegation.
Okay. I am doing this because I've tried internally, and there's no internal redress mechanism.
At the ministry,
yeah,
you mean?
The ministry, the government have gone everywhere.
Go ahead.
Since January, it is over 2 months, and I tried so that we can solve it. But I'm doing this because people think business should be as usual. It's simple. On the 11th of August 2020, an advert was published at various newspapers that we need a national project coordinator. And this national project coordinator, it is for a donor fund, multi-donor fund, of $70 million. It is called Sierra Leone Free Education Project. So they needed somebody to head that particular wing. And this person, we work directly with the permanent secretary and the Minister of Education. They will directly supervise it. So when the advert came out, there were criteria. And they were looking at 3 basic things that was very core. They were looking at the qualification. They were looking at the skills. They were looking at the experience. So, and over 60 persons were applied, and their CVs were vetted. So 14 of them were shortlisted by an evaluation committee. But when we got the document since December, we decided to talk to the various committee members and talk to some of them that accepted talk to us. And we decided to talk to the minister and the permanent secretary and those concerned. We identify issues. So we talked to the minister, said, X, Y, and Z we have identified. But he was very adamant to listen to us. We talked to the minister, to the permanent secretary. He said, go to PFMU. We went to PFMU. They said, no, forget about this, please. Let's do it internally. I said, no, but there's something. Sierra Leoneans applied that were qualified for this position. You left the ones that had the qualification and took somebody that did not have the qualification. So it's simple. It is established that, and it is no crime. And Bruce say, we understand, is the brother-in-law of David Senge. But that's not the gross issue we have. Although that by itself, to work in public office, to work in government office, in the same office, supervising your relation, it is morally and ethically bankrupt, but we cannot bench on that. Let's bench on something. What I want to bench on here is that, number one, the advert recruitment said you should have a master's degree in education administration, in education leadership, in economics, in statistics, in business administration, or in public administration. That is what the advert said. But what happened? What does this man have that they give? He has masters in accounting and finance. They are not related field. They also, it went all further to say, we need somebody that have handled a project of such complexity. That is, the project is $70 million, and it is a work of, it is a huge scale work. We want somebody that have handled such money, because this money is for the people of Sierra Leone. President Bio, through his wisdom, said, I want free quality education. And the donor partners have seen it. They said they want to spend that type of money. If we don't have the right people to manage that money, with the right experience, with the right skill, what will happen? It will be mismanaged.
So in essence, you're saying you're raising this issue not because of the relationship between the minister and the person recruited, but because of the person did not meet the set criteria.
And they did not follow the due diligence of the... So now, because for him, whether he's his in-law, like for me, where I am at NATCOM, my brother is suffering, he don't have work. There was vacancy. I say, you will not work with me. It depends on people if you work the soul to decide that my relative, my close relative, will not work with me in the same office. Because ethically, it is wrong. But however, apart from that, it also stated that, so if they say project of such complexity, that means you should have handled such. But the man has never, from his CV. Again, it said you should have been a project coordinator or a team lead for a project. And for 5 years experience, he has never done it. He said you should have worked in the education field, have knowledge in the education field. My dear brother, when we look at the CV of the person they shortlisted, the person I got there, he has never worked in the education sector.
Is it a personal fight for you?
No, it's not a personal fight. It is a fight of equality in terms of employment. It is a fight to save the money that donor partners are giving to President Bio and the people of Sierra Leone. We don't want to have the wrong person there and then the project is being misused, because we've seen project begin to fail from the interview, from the shortlisting to the interview. When you have the wrong person, how can you employ a store manager as a project coordinator? How can you employ a liaison officer?
Now, you said you have tried to handle this issue internally. You have spoken to different people about it. Now, how exactly did you go about, making your issues known?
So what I did was that I wrote a letter to when I got it, I tried to physically talk to them. Then I said before the 11th of January, because the interview was done on the 3rd December. So I waited until after Christmas, started talking to them. So I came now, and when I started face-to-face discussion, I said it is not yielding fruit. So on the 11th, I wrote a letter to the permanent secretary. I wrote a letter to the minister. I wrote a letter to PFMU. What I wanted to tell them that we have problem in this thing. Let us solve it internally. It is not sin. It is not error. It is not bad if we solve this thing internally without going out. I happened to meet the minister on a 2-hour meeting. When I talked to him heart to heart. That was my first time over the years he have been there, because he is normally difficult to access. So, but when I said I have this issue, so he accepted me. And that one was not like the normal procedure. I say, give me 2 weeks. So we sat down, and after I explained everything, you know what the guy said? And I will say it here. He said, my dear friend, the interview is gone. He said, and let me tell you, I did not beg for work. What I'm doing, I'm only answerable to the president here. I did not beg for work. If I don't have this work tomorrow, I will go back to MIT and lecture. Or it is your business, your government. I said, okay, because it is our government. Please, you guys will one day leave us and go back to the MIT, go back to America. Make sure you do the right thing. Because you know, if you do this wrong thing, the government will be blamed. So try and correct it for the sake of the government. So he did not listen. Then I moved from there. The permanent secretary, he said, go to PFMU. So I had a meeting with PFMU. And they also said, forget about it. I said, no, you cannot forget about things like this. Mm-hmm. When this money will be destroyed tomorrow, who will you blame? I am in the education sector. Do you think I'll be going to suffer myself to defend? Let us correct it now. When it is wrong, it is wrong. This is the reason why even your party members are grumbling, because they are qualified, they don't have work. I say people are suffering, and other Israelis are qualified, they don't have. Give the right man the right work. And I told the text, he's called Text Abubakar. I told him, I said, do you know why we are failing? I said, because all contracts and all projects we do it through nepotism. Give our loved ones, give our friends, give our family, and this will not help Sierra Leone. We should stand out. And I moved from there. I wrote a letter to the Minister of Finance. Okay. Of course, he was sick. But that, again, did not yield a fruit. I wrote to anti-corruption. I wrote to the HRMO. I wrote to no positive result. I wrote to
just quickly,
the head of civil service. I wrote to Parliament. But the two things I've noticed. Ethically, when somebody writes you, you should be able to respond to them that acknowledge. Not even an acknowledgement.
So you were never counting out by all of the institutions.
Yeah. The only thing I noticed they will do is that, hey, but this, if you do it now, government will get bad name. Hey, yeah, this. I said, no, I don't settle for such low thing. I said, this means that you guys are undermining President Bio.
So,
Because
so all the institutions that we write to them, they call you for barely are left listing out.
Most of them, yeah.
Right.
So my issue here is we have made a recommendation. The recommendation is we want an independent investigation, and during that process, we want, number one, the minister must be suspended administratively. Why? No, why? Because
it is clear.
He was told about this thing as a leader in that sector. He did not do anything. And indirectly, now he's his brother. Number two, the permanent secretary that is the chairman, because we have documents that are falsified. Must be suspended. And any government official that participated in that process
must also be suspended.
Right. So we've done that, and we are waiting for it. If they fail, then we'll bring evidence of our discussion.
The conversation does not end here. We still have to reach out to the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education and create a platform for a very decent conversation.
Right, but this is where we'll have to draw the curtains on today's edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone. Let's take a quick reminder of our quote for today. We are the third world, not because the sun rises on the west and sets in the east, but because we have engaged the reverse gear and we're moving with jet-like speed in the wrong direction. We must change this by rolling up our sleeves and working for the growth of our country. And that quote comes from PLO Lumumba, a Kenyan who served as the director of the Kenya